Coming up next on YCU News, Vermont State Police seek the public's help in finding who broke into the Grafton Tavern and Inn between October 29th and 30th. Cuts to food stamps begin today that will affect the 48 million Americans who use food stamps to meet budget needs. And Vermont Congressman Democrat Peter Welch introduced a bill in Congress today blocking investment bank JP Morgan from writing off penalties. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCU, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth-Lake Sunapee region and central Vermont. News, sports, weather, public affairs, and all that's happening in our area. The news on YCU, your local view.
Good evening. I'm Rose Spillman. Thank you for joining us for this Friday edition of YCU News. Vermont State Police seek the public's help in finding who broke into the Grafton Tavern and Inn between October 29th and 30th. Police report the break-in happened between 7 p.m. Tuesday and noon on Wednesday. The inn is owned by the Wyndham Foundation, a non-for-profit group focused on rural sustainability. The Grafton Tavern and Inn is located at 45 Townshend Road. A window on a rear door leading into the building was smashed. Police believe the person or one person who unlawfully broke into the inn may have cut themselves on the arm. That's because a trail of blood was found at the scene. The cut may be on the person's right hand or arm, especially on the inside or lower arm area. Police ask that if anyone knows of someone with an unexplained cut to his or her arm or hand, to take note, particularly if the person cannot recall how the cuts happened. Anyone who may have witnessed any suspicious activity near or at the Grafton Inn is asked to call Trooper Jake Berry. Berry can be reached at the Rockingham Barracks at 802-875-2112. Cuts to food stamps begin today, a measure that will affect the 48 million Americans who use food stamps to meet budget needs. 1 in 7 Americans rely on food stamps to feed themselves or their family. Food stamps only can be used to buy food. Paper goods or personal toiletry items cannot be bought with food stamps. A family of 4 will see their monthly food stamp budget cut by $36. That's $36 cut from an average $668 monthly allotment. For a single person, the $200 monthly stipend will fall to $189. The cuts are taking place because of a date set earlier by the federal government, earlier as the economic crisis worsened in 2009. The feds approved an extra $45.2 billion for food stamps. That extension of extra benefits has ended. Food stamps are part of the Federal Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. Each state, through its Health and Human Services Department, oversees food stamp benefits for eligible residents. Additional cuts to the program may be coming. Congress has voted to trim the food stamp program, with the House voting to cut $39 billion from SNAP. The U.S. Senate's proposed cuts are not as high, dollar-wise, reports National Public Radio. Be on the lookout for deer in New Hampshire. New Hampshire fish and game leaders say motorists need to be alert for deer running into traffic, especially at dawn and at dusk. It is mating season for bucks and does, and a fish and game spokesperson says the deer have their minds on other things than traffic. Fish and Game wildlife biologist Dan Bergeron says about a third of all deer and vehicle collisions occur between now and the end of this month. Typically, about 1,200 deer and vehicle collisions happen each year. Keep in mind that also, as creatures of habit, deer will stay in one area. And if you see one deer coming out from the woods, slow down, as 2 or more deer could be right behind. Vermont Congressman Democrat Peter Welch introduced a bill in Congress today blocking investment bank JP Morgan from writing off penalties. Welch's bill is titled the Stop Deducting Damages Act, or H.R. 3445. The bill would keep JP Morgan from writing off as a business expense any portion of the penalty that the federal government may impose. That penalty would come from the U.S. Department of Justice, which is close to settling with J.P. Morgan for the bank's actions that led to the near collapse of the economy, Welch reports. Welch also sent a letter directly to Jamie Dimon. Dimon is the CEO of J.P. Morgan. Welch told Dimon that American taxpayers should not bear the burden of the bank's actions. If the Justice Department fines J.P. Morgan millions of dollars, Welch writes, the bank alone should pay the fines. U.S. Representative Democrat Luis Gutierrez of Illinois is a co-sponsor of Welch's bill and a co-signer of his letter to Dimon. Now we have the YCU weather forecast for the Connecticut River Valley and Lake Sunapee region. Tomorrow we have a high of 60 degrees with lows in the 30s. Sunday will cool down to highs in the low 40s and the low of 21 degrees. Monday will be sunny with a high of 41 and the lows in the mid-20s. Tuesday's highs will be in the upper 40s with lows around 29 degrees, and Wednesday's high will be 55 with a low in the mid-40s. If you're near Thetford, Vermont this Saturday, head over to the Open Field School from noon to 3 p.m. for a fall festival featuring crafts, live music, and games. And now it's time for a look at yesterday's scores from boys' soccer games. The Hanover Marauders beat Manchester Memorial 3-1. The Lebanon Raiders defeated the John Stark Generals 1-0 with a goal in overtime by Lebanon player Tanner Singleton. Kearsarge faced Laconia but was unsuccessful. They trailed Laconia by 1 point. The Stevens Cardinals won against Newfound 4-1. This win sends the Cardinals to the quarterfinals. The Sunapee Lakers scored another victory, defeating Linwood 4-1. Thanks, John, and thank you for joining us for this Friday edition of YCU News. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter at YCU Now for all of the latest weather forecasts and stories. And you can watch our programs anytime online at www.ycunow.com. I'm Rose Spillman for YCU, your local view. Good night.